Today we have Jacee here. She works on Corteva AgriScience, and we are really, it's a pleasure that we are able to interview her for this event celebrating Women in Ag. So just to get started, I wanted to ask you about your background. How did you start? Where are you from? Where did you go? Where did you study?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Stillwater, Oklahoma, so central Oklahoma. I was born and raised there on a seed stock operation, a cattle operation that my family still manages today. So as a young adult, really, when I could walk, I've been around cattle, but when I was able to start showing my bred-known Angus cattle herd, that's when I started to really get involved in the industry and networking with other people within the industry. So it's kind of my blood to be in agriculture, just because my whole family is involved in it. And then in high school, I was fortunate enough to go to a school that has a fairly big FFA program. And so, being a part of that, plus showing on the, local, state, national levels, that really helped me network with other people in different segments of agriculture. And then I was the president of my FFA chapter, so that helped me, lead others in my school and in my community, really, with that. And then I was fortunate enough, so before I went to Oklahoma State, which I grew up there in Stillwater, so a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's a given." But before I went to Oklahoma State, I actually judged livestock. So I had a scholarship to judge livestock at a school called Blackhawk in Illinois. So that was really fun for me to kind of leave the nest, so to speak, and get to really immerse myself with peers that have the same passion and like interest in ag that I do. That was really cool. And being able to travel to different practices and workouts and contests, and just learn about livestock in general, and how for me, it's, helping my dad pick the right calf to, save for replacement heifers. So, and I've, been able to judge a few shows, which has been really great, to share that. But anyway, so I was really glad to go and fortunate to go to Blackhawk for a couple years. And then I finished at Oklahoma State, and I graduated in 2014. And while I was at Oklahoma State.
What is your bachelor on?
Yeah, what is my major? Is that what you asked?
Yes.
Yes, I was just about to say
sorry.
Okay, no, you're fine. I studied agricultural communications.
Okay.
That
Nice.
for me was fun because I got to learn about the PR side and marketing side. And I actually, before I graduated, I had an internship with the National Swine Registry as their marketing and communications intern. So I got to learn and work in that side of the business within the industry. So that was really cool for me as well.
Were you able to continue showing during school?
No, I didn't. So really, you kind of age out when 21 is when you stop showing at junior shows. So I could show at open shows, but since I was away from home for a while, I did not show in college. I did, like when I went to Blackhawk, I did help some folks around there in their show barns and stuff, but my show career kind of ended once I turned 21. So.
Got it. So you said you literally grew up kind of in the middle of helping your father on the business and everything. When do you feel that you decided what major you were interested in getting a degree on? Like during that time, or when you actually went to school?
So this is so interesting. So also when I was at Oklahoma State, I was a student ambassador. So I meant for the college bag. So I I'd, help kids make this
Mm-hmm.
decision, or
Yes.
young
Yes.
adults. And then also was a tour guide.
Oh,
So
really?
for the campus, yeah, so I would like take these families on tours,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was cool because a lot of times they were interested in the college bag, and so I would have them later as a student ambassador to really like dive in and help them make that decision. And I
Mm-hmm.
always gave them the advice like I took. So I always knew just that it's like, so I'm a fourth generation cattle producer.
Mm-hmm.
So agriculture is something that runs deep in my blood and with my family. So I always knew I wanted to stay in ag and pursue the legacy that my family has had. And
Mm-hmm.
it's an interest to me naturally.
Uh-huh.
So, but as far as like really narrowing it down to what I wanted to study, I knew that I wanted to have the flexibility to, I didn't want to be so rigid in my major where
Mm-hmm.
I could only do this thing. I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that my major was flexible enough for me to, like right now I'm in sales, or,
Mm-hmm.
in marketing, there's different avenues you can take. So that's kind of how I would explain it to incoming seniors from high school, or even transfer students like I was trying to pick a major. It's really about like your interest and depending on because I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do when I
Mm-hmm.
graduated, which I feel
Sure.
like it's a lot of us. I mean, we think we
Yes.
know, like before I went to college, I
Mm-hmm.
thought I wanted to be like in ag law. I thought I wanted to be an attorney,
Uh-huh.
on the side, which isn't bad, but after different uh
There
different
are too many options, right? Like
I
there
mean,
are so many
there are a lot of
options.
options, and the reason I picked ag communications is because a lot of the so when I was at Blackhawk, I did
Mm-hmm.
just like an ag business degree or an ag degree. So I got all of my like chemistry,
Mm-hmm.
biology, all of those like just gen ed courses were out of the way. And so I
Mm-hmm.
knew when I was at Oklahoma State, my junior and senior year, I knew I was going to be really embedded into my major. So I wanted to pick
Mm-hmm.
something that was natural for me and that I really enjoyed, work that I really enjoyed doing. And so that's one reason why I picked communications.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like my advice is, the main thing is you want to have a degree and something that you're interested in. So
Mm-hmm.
do pick that according to what you like, because if you pick, I've heard so many times from people and just life experience, they say, oh, I want to do pre-vet or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
then they end up like not finishing the course or changing their major a million times because they really didn't like their classes or they were too difficult or whatever the case is. So I would say pick what you're naturally interested in. And I knew I wanted to be an ag, and so I just narrowed it down to that. So
Mm-hmm. Sure. And how long have you been working on this position,
yeah,
Jacee?
so I started with Dow. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll say Dow and DuPont merged to make
Yes. Yes.
Teva. So I started with Dow out of college. So in June 2014 is when I started with Dow, and
Mm-hmm.
how the company works, and even now with Corteva, is you're a trainee before you're a sales
Mm-hmm.
territory manager now. So as a trainee, it's a paid role, and you're basically like a territory manager, but you get the opportunity to work under a territory manager and really learn how the business works so you can develop, and whenever a territory comes open, they would
Mm-hmm.
put into that. So I really, when I remember being at Oklahoma State and knew I was going to work for Dow, and people are like, well, where are you going to be living? Where will you be based out
Mm-hmm.
of? And I didn't know. I mean, they don't tell you,
Yeah.
and you really don't get to pick. And so I actually worked in Jonesboro, Arkansas for
Mm-hmm.
less than a year or so, working on the crop side. So I mostly worked with cotton, rice, and then beans and corn. And so that was really interesting for me. It was a great learning curve coming from really just a straight like livestock cattle background, really pushed into crops. But that helped me learn that I really, whenever I had the opportunity to have my own territory, I really wanted to be on the pasture side of things. So I'm really grateful for how it played out. But that's how Corteva, like if anyone's interested in jobs with Corteva, that's how that works.
Got it. And so during this time that you've been working, have you seen changes on having more women on your workplace? Are you able to work with them? Like how do you see this on your industry and the places that you're working on currently?
Yeah, so I would say within Corteva, we are a really fairly diverse company.
Awesome.
Just within my district alone. So my district, I work with 10 other people, and it's everything east of the Mississippi River.
Okay.
So it's a lot of states,
Yes.
and we do have larger territories, but it's been interesting to see, you know, I've been in this role since I moved over here in like 2015. So that's been a while, and I've seen a lot of transition, or we've had some people want a different career path, or you know, anyway, these territories within my district change, and now I was the only woman, and now there's like three other girls that work with directly on my team. So that's been really neat to see, where you know, you go from being the like only one to seeing you know, more women in roles like this. I will say that, you know, just being a woman, you know, we can do it all, and you know, being maybe the heart of the family and then your heart of your career. And so these jobs normally are pretty tasking as far as being on the road, traveling, because the territories are so large.
Yes.
So it is nice to have you know, a couple other peers and women within my district directly. And then really Corteva has higher up, you know, I think our chief financial officer is woman. There's actually a lady, she's one of my role models. Her name is Suzanne Wasson, and she actually went to Oklahoma State, kind of grew up similar background as I did, and she is higher up in Corteva. And so even she worked for Dow too. So even when I worked for Dow, fresh out of college, I was like, I want to be, you know, I looked up to her a lot.
Yes.
And she gave me like, you know, sometimes you're like, I don't deserve this. I mean, I'm just a ranch kid from Oklahoma, or, you know, I don't, you know, it's hard for me to see that for myself, but she helped me see that, wow, I can hold that position. I can do that. I can do big things. So, and then in the Southwest district, in my business, the pasture business, there's a woman named Jody Stockett, and she is I would say like a veteran rep. She works Western Oklahoma and part of Texas, and she lives in Texas. And she, you know, lives on a ranch with her family and still is able to do this job. And she's really great with her customers. And so also seeing someone who is like in my exact career, in my exact, you know, maybe different day to day, because she's in Western Oklahoma and I'm in the Southeast, but still someone I really admire and would hope to, you know, emulate her in my role and learn from her. That's been really great as well. So sorry, I went on
oh no, don't worry. That's awesome, because it's important, especially when at least for me, like especially when you're starting, to have mentors that really take on helping you with those questions, and just like the beginning of everything that you're still trying to figure out, the transition between school and what actually like real life, real routine
and like how to conduct yourself. I will say my first mentor with Dow. So when I was a sales trainee, my mentor was her name's Leslie. She was my mentor in Arkansas, and I'm really grateful I was with her in my first years because, you know, it's fresh out of college, like you
Mhm.
really had no idea exactly how this all works, and she was not only able to like teach me that, but how to
Mhm.
interact in like a fairly male dominated industry and earn respect. So that was a big thing for me to learn, like straight out the gate, is like how do you earn respect from your peers who are mostly male, and
Mhm.
you know, when you're helping make decisions on the in with a farmer or rancher, how do they trust you? And you know, that's really helped me a lot, especially in the role I'm in now. Her
Mhm.
advice and getting to watch her, really, I mean, I rode with her and learned from her a lot, just like hands on, and that was really helpful. So
Yeah. And between these experiences you have and even mentors that you're able to have through your career, what do you think was the most precious advice someone gave you so far?
yeah, so I will say I have a couple pieces of advice. The
Mm-hmm.
first thing is um, always make a decision. So you know, I think some people sometimes struggle with there's too many options. What
Mm-hmm.
do I do? I want to do the right thing. A lot of times it's great. You want to do the right thing, but make a decision and move and go. Another thing is you can't teach talent. You can teach talent, but you got to have the right attitude. And you know,
Mm-hmm.
that goes back to like the Charles Swindoll quote, you know, where life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react. And that's
Mm-hmm.
always been a big quote for my dad and I, the whole Charles Swindoll quote. And so that's something I
Sure.
always think about, you know, not just within my career, but just in life in general. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you got to have the right attitude about things in any situation. And really, don't beat yourself. I mean, you can do this. Believe in yourself. You know, your mind is going to let you know.
Career, what has been the most rewarding experience so far?
So there's a lot of things, and I I don't know if I could pick something. There's so many
Mm-hmm.
things. I don't know if I could pick something just real specific. But I think the most rewarding thing in general, the reason why I wake up every morning to do what I
Mm-hmm.
do and have pride in what I do is because I'm able to help people that are like my family. And I work for a company where I'm able to help provide solutions to the rancher at the field level that ultimately improves their operations, and helps them become more profitable and be more efficient, you know, in their
Mm-hmm.
roles. And so that's why I wake up and do what I do every day. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I'm really helping my dad or my uncle or my family. And that to me is really near and dear to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, I will say this was a cool experience I had with my job. I've had a really like um, I don't know how to say it, just really heartfelt kind of moments. But
Mm-hmm.
this one was really neat. So the rep who covers Oklahoma, where I grew up,
Mm-hmm.
um, actually my dad's on the cattlemen's board for our county, and they had a summer pasture field day. The county cattlemen's put on, and so the Corteva rep that covers that part of Oklahoma like knows I'm from there, knows my dad,
Mm-hmm.
knows my dad. And anyway, I was coming home that week, and he said, "Hey, Jacee, what would you think about, you know, speaking for Corteva, or you know, being a part of this field days
Mm-hmm.
in your hometown, your county cattlemen's?" And I mean, that was a really cool experience because I got to be in a room full of producers who supported me, whether it was at like the premium sale at our
Mm-hmm.
livestock county, you know, with
Sure.
my cattle, my showing projects, or our banker, or whoever locally, and ultimately like
Mm-hmm.
my dad, you know, having him see what I do day to day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talk about it on the phone, and I've, you know, tell him about certain situations, but actually like being there, and it was kind of like a full circle moment for me. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I just wanted to share. But really, the the biggest thing is being able to wake up every morning knowing that, you know, I'm helping the greater good, I'm helping my family, we're providing good solutions to make their operations more profitable and efficient. And that's